Welcome, everyone. This is the Liberty Advisor Podcast Crypto Wealth Show edition, and today we are joined by Kingsley Edwards, who we are hoping to be a regular co-host, as he brings a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge to the show. And this is actually the first dedicated crypto wealth show since this big run-up that we've been having, really since the past about 30, 40 days. And so we've got a ton of news to cover, have a jam-packed show. But before we get into Kingsley, before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything we want to cover today, just want to give a little housekeeping. Because a lot of you are probably wondering what's going on with me and World Alternative Media and where all this came about, because I never really ended up addressing this because as some of you know, I have been running a podcast for the last 2.5 years, and what ended up going on was I ended up meeting Josh, and that was through a mutual friend, Bob Stanley. And actually, as it turns out, Bob Stanley got me introduced to Erin Nakamoto, who is Kingsley Edwards' girlfriend, and we actually met at the Free Ross booth at World CryptoCon. I said, hey, I know that you know Josh. She called Josh over. I think he had just been poisoned like the day or two before, so he was in hospital. So he was not in great shape. He was like half dead when I talked to him. Ran into him again over at Anarchapulco, and basically the rest is history. And that's where I also met Kingsley. We had gone back and forth on Facebook for a little bit. I also met John Snyson over at Anarchapulco. Highly recommend you guys check that out. And I guess it's also a segue into, we can get into this later on, it's going to be Anarcho Vegas, which is actually a production that Kingsley and Erin are putting on. And there is an affiliate code for WHAM that you guys can head to. So it's anarchovegas.com. And then the promo code is WHAM. And that way you can help support Josh, help support the channel. But yeah, so we ended up, basically Josh and I found out that, we were basically two peas in a pod and a lot of stuff. And I knew that basically it'd be a great platform to be on, and that basically there was so much censorship going on. Like there's no reason for me to start a YouTube channel, because what's going to happen is the same crap that happened to Facebook, is that I'm going to all of a sudden explode, or if I am lucky enough to explode, I'm just going to get turned off. And one of the reasons why we also host videos on BitChute and why we're going to live stream to DLive is we want to focus on these alternative platforms. And one guy who's been doing a lot with alternative platforms and actually is taking action is Kingsley. So we'll have him get into that in a little bit. But right now, you guys can find all these shows are going to be underneath the Liberty Advisor banner. But some of them that are specifically dealing with crypto are going to be designated as crypto wealth shows, because basically some people are like, hey, I don't care about crypto. And some people are like, hey, I only care about crypto. So I acquiesced to what people were looking for. But even if it's not a specific podcast per se, everything is going to, right now the only spot to find everything I've done is Podbean. I just got all the video embeds in there, and eventually we'll have everything up on BitChute and have other things look all nice. But for right now, we do. What's
Podbean? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, Podbean is a platform that will that I was using to host podcasts. So what it does is I post it to Podbean, and then it spits it out to like iTunes or I guess Apple. I call it Apple Podcasts.
Okay, Podbean.
Yeah, BEAN, like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, beam me up.
Yeah, so some of the other ones that are out there, like Libsyn, I guess, is like probably one of the most popular ones that will shoot it out to all these other places. I think like Blueberry, it's like BLUBRRY. I think is another one. There's a bunch of them, but they just made it easy, and so you don't have to subscribe to that platform. You can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, but it's just basically it was just super easy. Hey, I put it up there, it shoots it out everywhere else automatically. I don't have to for like $100 a year, I don't have to basically screw around. So if you are burgeoning podcaster out there, I'd highly recommend doing something like that and not wasting your time putting it on all the platforms yourself. So all the video embeds are in there, but the problem is I originally was Libertarian Advisor, got pissed off the Libertarian Party, like most libertarians. It's changed to Liberty Advisor. So there's like all these kind of hodgepodge of stuff all over the place. We're going to be getting all this housed underneath one neat platform, but right now the only place to find that is Podbean. So I did want to make sure we've got that. And BitChute, so BITCHUTE. Just last night we got all the crypto wealth shows up there. Maybe like one or two might be missing, but anyways, we'll have that looking all nice and pretty. But right now there is actually a crypto wealth like playlist that you guys can go. A lot of great videos. And all of these going forward will be on there as well. But, also you guys can catch us live on, some of the enemy platforms like Facebook and YouTube. I'll put Twitch up there as an enemy platform. It is owned by Amazon, although
No, they've been censoring people as well. So yeah, they're just as guilty. Maybe not as bad, but it's bad.
And even you get into not as bad. You're like, oh, not as bad as what face. And I even saw some like big crypto influencers. Just I believe today they're like, screw Facebook. I'm going over to Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah, going over to Twitter. Like that's like that. I'm sure that's
really giving it to the man.
yeah. I'm going over to Jack Dorsey. Because
Yeah.
he's been such a staunch stalwart of freedom and everything that's going on. But yeah, let's just get into Kingsley's bio now. And if you guys are watching us on World Alternative Media, thank you for sticking through, because I know a lot of you are used to more like report style, where we're just getting into like maybe edited videos that are real quick, hard hitting, like 10-minute videos. But this is gonna be more podcast format, where there is banter, and also you guys can listen as we obviously if you picked up now, there is MP3s of these versions as well. So if you're like, hey, I don't have the time to go listen to like an hour podcast or something, you can a lot of people listen to it in the car or bike rides or whatever they're doing, working around the house. And so I know, like myself, like a lot of times I don't have time. Like I'll see a video, it intrigues me. I might only have like time to watch it for a minute or two, but I've got a lot more time to be able to listen to it. And I do that all the time. I'm sure a lot of you guys, I'm sure Kingsley probably does similar stuff.
Does BitChute and DLive, do they offer? Because I know like with YouTube, I think maybe it's just YouTube Premium. Like you can turn off your screen, so it's basically listening instead of watching. But do you know BitChute and DLive, if you can do the same thing? Can you just do audio only, or?
I mean, all you'd have to really do is you could just put like a cover photo over and then just link it to the cover photo, as opposed to having it going to your face. And so, like let's say like Peter Schiff or something. I mean, I'm sure he probably uploads it after the fact, or one of his guys does it for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, all you really have to do is let's say you've got your thumbnail.
So Tom Woods does that too.
Yeah. So in Josh's case, you have the fire going up somewhere, and then you'll have. And if you were to just do a podcast and didn't want to have his face up there, but but for me, it's just I click one button, it goes down, it shoots it all into the MP4A, which is sort of like an MP3 format, but I guess higher quality, and it takes like 2 seconds, and then I process the video, which that takes a little bit longer to do. But yeah, it's just trying to get into the habit of, hey, if we want to help fight back against all these guys, we've got to, start taking action. And so, yeah, it's just, unfortunately not a ton of people over there at BitChute, not a ton of people over at BitTube, which will probably be using that as well. Because I know BitTube makes it easy where you can like press a button and it takes everything from YouTube over to BitTube. But first I need to get everything over to YouTube to begin with. So, yeah, it's just, I'm a big mess over here in case you guys can't tell. So now we're just trying to, go forward. Yeah, put it all together, make it easy for you guys. Because a lot of those shows, really are pretty evergreen. I mean, and maybe this might be a good we'll segue into this in a little bit. First, I want to give a quick little bio on Kingsley. But Kingsley, great asset to the show. Like I mentioned before, he is busy building a free speech platform called Float, which he could probably get into. But right now, he bought his first Bitcoin at $20 back in 2013. Started the Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup 5 years ago. So this is not some guy that just jumped in on the bandwagon like, all the jerks over at, CMBS, as I like to call it, which, they've got their own crypto channel.
CNBC, yeah.
Which is quite hilarious if they've got their own crypto channel. And then he also is a pioneer in the video game betting as it relates to Bitcoin, doing this early on, and had a big acquisition and a token sale relating from that. So he's just bottom line is the guy really knows his stuff. Great asset to the show. We know a lot of the same people, but there's some big influencers that he doesn't know that I know, and some other ones that he knows that I don't know. And so we'll be bringing a lot of great guests, a lot of great panelists to the show. But I guess one thing, maybe a good, kind of parlay is we were just talking about, some of the people that jumped in, right around the highs in 2011, and, which was, obviously in hindsight, or sorry, not 2011, 2017, late 2017, one of the worst times. And back then, one of the gauges I've been looking at is something called the Fear and Greed Index. Last night, it's funny, it actually says 75 is what it was yesterday. I actually have a screenshot where it was 77, so I don't know. Maybe it's some fake news over there. But anyways, yeah, it was really high last night at 75. The very first crypto wealth show, specific one we did, I remember it was like 13. So if you guys go back to the first episode. And, I'll tell you guys right now the same thing that I told my cab driver going over to the Crypto Investor Summit is like, listen, when everyone's talking about, hey, now's the time to get in, that's probably the time they want to maybe start shifting out. Or what I'm doing, I'm just stacking. I'm not really, maybe I'm selling if I'm at like an event and I'm buying, tacos or something with crypto, or, going to the Lakers game. And, in hindsight, I shouldn't have paid for that in Bitcoin Cash, because then it went up like 200% after that. So
yeah, whatever, that happens.
Yes.
What are the things that I'm just curious, because a lot of crypto influencers especially on YouTube, they're, you have to be careful of what you say, and we learned that, especially a lot of those people learned that last year. And I have a background in wealth management as well. But what really are the things, as a professional in CFP yourself, that you have to be careful about saying exactly, like the exact kind of wording?
Oh man, I've got a whole bunch of things because I'm underneath the purview of the SEC. Originally, I was underneath the purview of FINRA and the SEC, and technically the Department of Labor, and technically every state that I'm working in. And so it's just like a complete freaking mess. But unfortunately, you have to hedge a lot of your statements, and obviously say things like past performance is not an indication of future returns. This is for informational purposes only. I have a podcast that I put out, and this one, unfortunately, it was the only one that I couldn't find the video, but it is up on BitChute, where it got into how much to invest, should you invest, how to invest. And basically, if you can't afford to lose money, then you shouldn't be investing. If you've got, hey, I've got, $1,000 and I need this for, the rent payment at the end of the month. Well, don't put it into Bitcoin. Don't be stupid. But, maybe, you can start off with, $25, maybe automatic purchase.
Dollar cost average seems like the way to go.
Yeah, and that's what I started doing myself. I started dollar cost averaging. If I was smarter, I would have just put it all in at once, because it was like right before the run up. And if I was even smarter, I remember like my kids were on my lap, and they were driving me nuts or something. And I almost got into Ethereum at $4. I waited like a couple weeks, and all of a sudden it's at 70. And I'm like, oh man, what an idiot! Here I am buying it at 70. Same thing when unfortunately I knew about Bitcoin when it was around like $1, but I was thinking, hey, the odds of this thing breaking out is slim to none, breaking outside of like the anarcho-capitalist community. And that was back from like the Daily Paul forums, which obviously I know that you're familiar with. And the first time I recommended it was actually, this was to a guy that was very wealthy, had money to lose. I said this could easily go to zero, make every statement, hedged it completely. But I'm like, hey, and I remember saying this. This is back when it was $30, and I almost told him at $3, but it's just I was trying to connect with him, and I was like, hey, maybe this can get to like $10,000 someday. And so never did I think that day would have been, a year and a half ago. That really even surprised me. And when I started setting up the company that I have right now, I really thought that I had like 4 or 5 years, and that I was still like really early. So kind of letting people know, time about my background is that one of our good mutual friends, Ernest Hancock, he actually created the Ron Paul Revolution logo, had the first Ron Paul meetup group at his house in either like 2006 or 2007 to help draft Ron. I mean, complete OG. And he was like, hey, Tim, we got a bunch of rich crypto guys. And this is like when like Bitcoin was like 3,500, but like the first time it was at 3,500. So he's like, hey, how do, if they've got millions of dollars of crypto, how do they take their money from basically from Bitcoin and get it into the economy and not get killed in taxes? And some of the people right now might be rolling their eyes of like, oh, screw the government, screw taxes. But yeah, it's easy to say if you've got, a few $1,000 of gains, or you got, little gains here or there. But if you've got, you put in $10,000 and now you're sitting on like 15 million or something, which there actually is an article from the Bitcoin pizza guy, I guess, outed himself recently.
Yeah. Is this the first time he's come public? I've seen that story circulate, but I guess I didn't realize that this is maybe the first time that he actually revealed himself.
There was a Simpson episode where they had Charlie Manson in jail, and they're like, well, that's actually an old episode. He's like, well, if I haven't seen it, it's new to me. So maybe, maybe that's the similar thing where it's my first time seeing it. So right now we have on screen, and let's see it's from May 16th, yesterday. Meet the man who spent millions worth of Bitcoin pizza. And basically, he's like, hey, I probably spent over like 100,000 Bitcoin on a number of items, and most of it was pizza. So basically, like, you spent $800 million on pizza, and you're trying to, guilt trip him and make him feel bad, and all the other stuff that you'd expect, seeing.
Did you watch it? I didn't watch it yet.
No, I didn't actually watch it, but okay. I'll have that in the show links for you guys. But yeah, it's so when it comes to getting back to the wealth management space, it's, first off, you got to understand what you're getting yourself into. I'm not trying to promote this to people that don't know what they're doing. And I had a bunch of clients where I gave them in October like I think like $5 in Dash and just gave it to them and showed them how it worked. And I used Dash because I didn't want to like have to gamble on Bitcoin, like maybe taking, however long it takes to sometimes it takes, really quickly, or sometimes, I've had to take over a day. And so when you're demonstrating this for the first time, you want to make sure something's going to work.
Yeah. That was
Right
frustrating when the network was congested.
Yeah, and right after I gave them the Dash, it was like right before, I think, like the hard fork back in actually the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV hard fork before everything went down. So I don't know maybe the price was like $120 on Dash, and it went down. I don't even know where it went down. It went down really, really low. So that was a big lesson for them, and now it's actually above where it was before. So their $5 went down to like $2, and now it's sitting at like $8. But that's a good lesson for you. So maybe that's why you start off with $25. That's why you start off with something new.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just that's what I tell people. I constantly have people reach out to me, especially when the market's going up. Everyone's looking for especially I remember last bull run, we had like a 10K party at like a penthouse right off the Vegas Strip, and there's a bunch of newcomers there, and they're like, tell me about IOTA, tell me about all these other coins, all these other small coins. Like, do you even own Bitcoin yet? Why don't you just maybe buy Bitcoin, maybe play with it, or Bitcoin Cash, and kind of play with it, get to know it at a smaller level besides before just jumping in with 2 feet into some alts right off the bat. But yeah, you want me to just do the intro real quick? Okay, yeah.
Let the people know about your bona fides. So.
Yeah. So I used to be actually in wealth management as well. I didn't get CFP. I was going actually for CFA. I failed the first test. I was
trying to one up me with the CFA.
Yeah. Well, as I was studying, I was basically libertarian at the point, and I was involved with Ron Paul in 2008 and in 2012 here in Nevada. I was a state delegate up in Reno for him, and we did, especially in 2012, he got really far. And I think crypto in general is just, basically it owes its price right now and its popularity to Ron Paul and his community. Just because he opened the eyes so much when it comes to end the Fed and all this kind of stuff. So I learned about it. I saw it. I don't think it was Daily Paul at first. For me, it was Ron Paul forums. They created like a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin thing. And then I didn't really, I did at the time. I was also into precious metals and all this kind of stuff. Funny story too. When I first got into wealth management, I just got my series 65 and 7 and 63 or whatever. It was right before the crash in 2008, and my boss, I was 23 years old at the time, so what did I know? But not that I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I'm pretty good at finding the smartest people to listen to and just basically regurgitating what they teach you. And it was right when the market was starting to act a little funny as far as the volatility, and the wealth manager came in. And he's like, well, because I kept saying, hey, we got to start moving our clients into cash. We got to start, getting rid of some of these assets and moving them to cash. And he's like, basically, what does this stupid kid know? And he didn't listen to me. And then what do you know? Basically, just a couple of days later, we had that. What was that? Like a 7% drop in the Dow or something like that.
Are we talking when Lehman went down in September?
Yes, yeah.
That was my actual first day on the job was September 15th, 2008. So that's
like a Wolf of Wall Street story right there. But
between that and my birthday being the day. So my birthday is the day that the first Zero Hedge article was released, and the day, which is also the same exact day that the Bitcoin software client for people to download was also on my birthday, which the Zero Hedge and Bitcoin were both released on the exact same day, same year.
So maybe Tyler Durden's Satoshi. Although Zero Hedge, it seems like it's, especially the community is kind of, I'm not sure. I don't really go to Zero Hedge that much anymore, but I used to a lot. But they've been kind of anti-crypto.
Only recent, I'd say, when things were starting in 2017, they were starting to jump on the bandwagon with everybody else. But they do cover it now. But back in the day, it was obviously precious metal focus.
Yeah. So I was in wealth management. I learned about Bitcoin, probably, similar time as you. I saw it go from basically, a penny to, what was it, like over $20. And then it dropped back down. And I was like, well, oh, see, that experiment failed. And I didn't really do, the due diligence, and I didn't have people to teach me, back then, especially the community was so small. So I just thought it was like another like kind of fiat, digital coin. I was like, what good is this going to do any more than, the Federal Reserve really? And then in 2012, one of my friends, he got funding from some VCs to start a Bitcoin exchange in New York. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here now? Like kind of smart money is moving into Bitcoin. This was when Bitcoin was $5. And he got a lot of his investment actually in Bitcoin at $5 too, right before the big run up. So that worked out well for his startup's runway. But so I started looking more into it, and then I just did a deep dive, and I just fell in love with crypto. And before I was very kind of activist in politics, but I shifted my focus because I think the end results or the end goal is really realizing that the Federal Reserve is really financing a lot of all the things that a lot of us don't like. So cryptocurrency is the biggest enemy and the best chance for hope as far as ending the Fed. So I did a lot of research. I also just being born in Florida but raised in Vegas, I was kind of toying with some ideas as far as what to do for a startup or a company in tech. And so we developed a platform where people can play against each other in competitive video games online. Popular video games like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, even Minecraft, Team Fortress 2, those types of games, where they can play against each other in a skill-based environment for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was kind of perfect at the time too, especially as a startup, because I don't have to go. It's such a pain developing any. It's technically skill-based gambling or skill-based gaming isn't considered gambling in like 45 states. But it's still hard to like get a bank account and to like basically explain your platform and all that stuff. So I was able to bypass all that with Bitcoin, but yet still follow the law.
Yeah, I had roommates in college that basically like some of them like did like even dropped out. My best friend in high school, he didn't even go to college because he was doing the poker thing. And I know so many people who had like 25 grand taken at Poker Stars or like 20 grand taken over at, I don't know, maybe Bodog or something like that, which I don't know, maybe I'm just making that Bodog up, but I think like Calvin Ayre, like he was with Bodog, and not to shift away from that, but no, yeah. So so I was also living in New York, so all these people were New York residents who were doing the gambling, which I'm sure made it even, I'm just going to take a wild guess that New York is a lot more communist than everywhere else when it comes to what you are and aren't allowed to do. And so I'm sure that
it's not a wild guess. But yeah, so we developed that, and that actually, that's kind of the environment that we were trying to create. Like it was like a poker environment, basically, where people can, you can frag your friend in real time, and you would be able to receive, $1 per kill or $1 or $10 per win for the match or whatever. So we ended up getting a little bit of angel investment, and then we got into Boost VC, which is the kind of the premier. Sorry, the dog's barking here. The premier blockchain startup accelerator run by Adam Draper, and I think it's also funded by just the Drapers in general. Tim Draper. He invested in our company as well. We got 300 Bitcoin as an investment when it was right around $250. Unfortunately, I spent all that on the company, around that price range from like $200 to $300. But
and also he was, for people that don't know, Adam was an early investor into Coinbase, so helped launch that. So regardless, people think of Coinbase, they have been an instrumental on ramp for people, and so Kingsley is hooked up with some pretty influential people. So
yeah, I got a story about Coinbase. But so we went through that. We ended up actually, because crypto then it went from basically $2 to $1,200, and then it started trailing down again. And that was a really hard time just to be a crypto startup in general. But luckily, the Drapers are very bullish on crypto. And then what happened? Oh, and then also because of the interest in crypto started dwindling as well. We actually shifted focus. So we created one of the first the first esports lounge on a casino floor in downtown Las Vegas. What else happened? Oh, and then also, during that time, I was actually living outside when I first started the company. I was living in Toronto, and that's where Anthony Diorio is and a lot of the Ethereum guys. And, you know, I was attending the Bitcoin meetups in Toronto. So when I moved back to Vegas in early 2014, I was like, well, I really want to, you know, recreate that community type feel for crypto and bring it to Vegas. So I created the Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup, which is the largest Vegas meetup today. We got acquired in 2017, and it just so happened that the company, I was actually going to pitch them to do, you know, a token sale, because I thought it made sense for them, and also to take advantage of what was, you know, happening in the market. So I directed their token sale, which was a $33 million token sale. Our coin got to over $275 million market cap, you know, during the hype of last year. And then I ended up leaving that company. I did some consulting for other crypto companies and startups last year. And now I'm focused on Float, where we're FLOTE, where we are focused on, you know, censorship and kind of bringing crypto, making crypto easy and fully integrated in kind of a social network environment. So yeah, I think that about.
And just so we're clear, it's making sure people aren't being censored. So because all the other platforms are focusing on the censorship.
Yes, yeah. No, we're just gonna censor everybody. You just log in, you can't say anything. But yeah, you know, that's a big problem right now. And even with crypto, I mean, we saw, you know, Reddit ban crypto ads. We saw Facebook, we saw Twitter. You know, a lot of these people now they're becoming a little bit more friendly. You know, what do you know? But you know, that's my main focus right now. And we actually just went through Boost again with this new company, so we got some pre-seed capital for that.
Yeah, and actually, I couldn't agree with you more when you're saying that, you know, that, you know, because I also had the big end the Fed focus. I mean, that was really, you know, the kind of the main thing that got me into the Ron Paul movement was, you know, figuring out that the Federal Reserve was private. So a lot of people got into the Ron Paul movement and then found out that the Federal Reserve. So then, you know, then it sort of, you know, eventually led me to, you know, kind of like the Alex Jones type world. And actually just today, I was like, oh man, I've only got like a few gigabytes left of room left on my phone, and I had like 80 gigabytes of Alex Jones shows, so I had to delete all those this morning. But what I ended up realizing is, you know, he's just kind of keeping people on this like merry-go-round of fear that there's like really no way off of it. And then once I learned about, you know, cryptocurrencies and how that was, you know, that there's so much more than just like the currency aspect of it, that there's, you know, like a stock market in the future could be placed on one of these. I mean, just, if, you know, I don't want to spend too much time on this because you guys go back to the other shows that we have on this, especially with the interviews we did at the Crypto Investor Summit. But what I ended up realizing is, and I ended up, you know, migrating on from Alex Jones over to Ernest Hancock of Freedom's Phoenix, who he was, you know, interviewing all the Bitcoin guys back in like the 10,000 pizza days. And so, you know, as this was going on, I realized, wow, this is the way to defeat central banks and defeat the government is through this mechanism. And then and so, you know, luckily I figured out right before everything started shooting up. I almost got in 2012, but I was you know, I was originally living in upstate New York, started my career in a place where I didn't know anybody, then moved 3 years later to a place where I didn't know anybody. So it was very hard to be, you know, basically, you know, essentially a salesman in a place where you don't know anybody and you're kind of shy and you're convincing people to give you all their money, not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So then I ended up in 2012, I used the money I was thinking about using for Bitcoin and bought a house, and that like almost at like the perfect time out here in Arizona. And recently sold that, and that was kind of how I financed, you know, being able to do this whole entire move that I did. But, you know, I probably would have been stupid and probably would have like left it on Mount Gox or something if I was, you know, back in the day anyways. So I'm thinking, you know, all things said and done with the whole run up and run down, you know, I probably made out about just as good.
Yeah, it's funny how things work out. I remember going to Mount Gox. I mean, that was, you know, the premier crypto, you know, trading outlet at the time. And I went to go create an account and log in. I was just like, this just doesn't seem right. I got a bad feeling about it. And luckily, Coinbase had just got out of Y Combinator at the time, and this is, you know, early Coinbase. I mean, on there, I remember they're on their about page, like about us. It was a picture of their, you know, their space in San Francisco, and it was just like MacBooks. It was their office space, and it was just like MacBooks with cables everywhere on a desk. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure why you even want to show that, to be honest. But I figured, you know, hey, they got out of Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is, you know, a legitimate startup accelerator, you know, probably one of the best ones out there besides Boost. And so I figured, hey, I can probably trust these guys, and they made it easy so that you can put your bank account in. Fast forward, like 2 years later, Coinbase actually reaches out to us. Our company at the time was Leet, and they asked us to onboard a user API and basically integrate with their platform. And so we did that. And then like a year later, they just randomly got rid. I think they were more focused on the regulatory side, and they were worried about us being involved with skill-based gaming. So all of a sudden, like it went from them asking us to work with them to help, promote Coinbase, to them I just getting an email saying, hey, your business account is being shut down and your personal account is being shut down. I've never used it for any, nefarious, crypto reasons out there. I didn't finance terrorism or buy drugs on Silk Road or anything like that. But yeah, they shut down both my accounts. So I haven't had a Coinbase account, unfortunately, since 2015. Yet I still promote them because they are, somewhat, the easiest as far as that goes. But there's actually censorship even, with Coinbase too.
Look at Milo just the other day. Within 3 minutes of being on, they ended up getting Milo. Also, the AI must have like already had him in there. Like, hey, if this guy tries going on there, and Gab, Andrew Torba, I believe, tried creating an account, or they had an account, and then they ended up kicking him off of there as well. So, I mean, it just makes me all giddy for, this eventual, Facebook coin, which we'll get to in a little bit. But one thing I want to switch gears to, and hopefully the audience can hear this. If not, I'll redub it over and in the post show. But we're talking about how this is, Kingsley and I both realized that this was, a way to kind of take down, I guess like the central banks, or at least have an option when they F everything up to say, hey, because, I don't need to focus on ending the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is going to end itself without whether I do it or not. So, and just so in case the Secret Service is listening, I'm not going to do it. Nothing I'm doing. But it's going. They're going to completely implode. There's no way out of the current situation that they're in right now. It's the third central bank that we've had as a country. But right now, I want to go over to a clip from Congressman Sherman, I think it's Brad Sherman, I'm not sure his first name, out of California, Democrats. I mean, I guess that's all you need to know about this guy. But listen to what he says about Bitcoin, because it's actually pretty truthful.
I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency purchases by Americans, so that we nip this in the bud, in part because not an awful lot of our international power comes from the fact that the dollar is the standard unit of international finance and transactions. Clearing through the New York Fed is critical for major oil and other transactions, and it is the announced purpose of the supporters of cryptocurrency to take that power away from us, to put us in a position where the most significant sanctions we have on Iran, for example, would become irrelevant. So whether it is to disempower our foreign policy, our tax collection enforcement, or our traditional law enforcement, the purposes of cryptocurrency, the advantage it has over sovereign currency, is solely to aid in the disempowerment of advantage it has over in the rule of law.
I guess to some extent, guilty, on some of that stuff. But I'm wondering, who gave him the memo on this? And if you want to nip it in the bud, like, sorry, maybe if you did it back in 2011, 2012, 2013, the might of the government probably could have. I mean, some people are probably going to have to argue with me right now whether you could or couldn't. But it'd be a hell of a lot easier for them to nip it in the bud in 2011, because right now, guess what? The horses are out of the barn, so there's no real closing the door right now. But I remember when I saw that, actually, I never reached out to Jeff Berwick, but I ended up sending that over to him, and of course he'd already seen it and was about to make a video on it. I sent it out to a few other people, because I'm like, this is like one of the best videos I've ever seen. It's like pretty much a great sales pitch. I'm like, okay, this could decrease the legitimacy of the government. Everything has to clear through the oil, the petrodollar that we basically use, the military industrial complex has to clear through the New York Fed. And I don't know, have you seen that clip before? What did you think about that clip when you first saw that?
Yeah, I didn't watch the clip yet, so that was kind of I heard maybe just about just as much as you just shared right there. But I think also he's also spoke out against it previously, like years ago. So I think I'm pretty sure this is his second time coming out, but this time he was much more direct, and I think in exactly, what crypto is. And you're exactly right. What it presents is just an opt-out solution. It can exist actually with all other traditional kind of economies and finance models, but it just gives us the ability to opt out of their forced scheme basically, and enter a new one that's free market driven, completely voluntary. It's a better technology. I mean, there's no, working in crypto, we've paid developers all across the world, China, Argentina, France, you name it, Canada. And, crypto doesn't have, there's no bank holidays, there's no banking hours, transactions, as long as the blockchain isn't congested, typically takes minutes or less. So it's just a better form of technology, and that's why I think that cryptocurrencies will win in the end, because what they've got going right now is not viable for a long-term solution for any economic success of any country. So now we have this global money thing that potentially could even replace a lot of why people like precious metals, as far as store of value and just honest money. And that's what's really exciting. And like you said, we don't really have to do anything except for just buy it and use it, or just kind of wait for more and more speculators to get into it, to where the volatility goes down. I'm assuming that the higher the market cap, the less volatility. We're still a ways away from what that will look like, but we're getting there. It's probably still another maybe 5, 10, maybe even 15, 20 years out, but it's going to slowly grow. And we'll see a lot of these, we'll go through bull runs and corrections more and more, until hopefully cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, takes over what we have today.
And it's healthy to have these shakeouts of the system, because guess what? There should have been a shakeout of the financial system in 2008. And some of you might be saying, oh, well, there was a big crash. Well, there was, instead of fixing the problems, all we did is cover up the problems and kick the can down the road, made the problems get even bigger.
Which is what government does always.
Yeah, imagine that. So we had a debt-based monetary system, which you can never get out from the debt. So from day one, if you create $1, the very first dollar that's created had 4% interest on it. So the first dollar that was linked to existence at the end of year one, you owed $1.04 on it. Well, how do you pay back $1.04 with $1? You got to borrow another $1. So basically, I look at Sherman as basically being like a plantation, overseer, where he's like, these damn slaves are realizing that they can get off the plantation, and this is the only way that we have power, is that we're keeping them on the plantation. But it's basically high-tech slavery. And I'm not mincing words when I say that. If you have to pay back your labor and your time and your life and your energy to these banks, and there was money that was created out of thin air to begin with, and it's mathematically impossible, they're always taking a cut of the pie that the system doesn't even have to exist. And like we were mentioning before, whether we do anything about it or not, it's going to end up eventually collapsing, or it's going to have a hyperinflation. And so I'm trying to hedge my clients in a lot of different ways to be able to prevent this right now. And crypto is one of those ways. Precious metals is another. We're both, out here in the Wild West. I'm in Arizona, you're in Vegas. So maybe having guns and ammo is another. I had a mountain lion in my front yard today. So, you never know when you're going to be, when you need to be prepared. But another guy that wants to ban it is, just cover real quickly. We've got Nobel Prize winning economist, which obviously probably means nothing to me or nothing to anybody watching this right now, is that he
another Krugman.
Yeah, another Krugman. And actually, Krugman has a quote where it said something along the lines of, the good thing about the dollar is that, the dollar has value because men with guns can come to your house and kill you if you don't pay your taxes. And I paraphrase a little bit, but it's very close to what his exact quote was. And so it's funny that you got a guy who's, writes for a conscience of a liberal. Like, oh, that sounds super liberal that we're going to come to your house and kill you if you don't abide by our ideas that are so good that we've got to, force a gun to your head in order for you to go on with the ideas. And then you had mentioned how this is a better and more efficient system. And so we've got an article now with JP Morgan going all in on the blockchain. And so, eventually what they see is that, they see, Ripple as being, a big competitor to them. So, not that we're shedding any tears of Ripple, potentially losing any market share, but, they realize this is a better way to do things and that it's very efficient. So they're using it for like interbank transfers, big institutional money going back and forth, that it can happen, next to instantly, as opposed to, right now it's like, it takes, forever to get, relatively speaking, to crypto. Because even when we bitch about, transaction times taking forever, that would still be lightning quick compared to the regular system. And then we've got, an article over here, basically, going from, the frying pan to the fire. We've got an article over here with Facebook Coin, where they're building out their own payment system. And just as you were described with Coinbase, I mean, does anybody, I don't know anyone. If anyone in crypto, is taking this serious, that's my cue to not take them serious, because I think it might be good for adoption and getting people interested in the space and maybe seeing how, it works for the first time, like kind of like a gateway drug. But then we need to then have, people like me, people like you, a lot of our friends, to then tell people like, hey, it's great that now you know about this, how maybe know how it works, but that's not the answer, because, if you're, not a communist, I can imagine that they're going to all of a sudden shut you down. Like, even, the other, I think it was a few weeks ago, MasterCard floated an idea to the SEC to ask, like, hey, is it okay if we shut down all these basically right-wing nut jobs? Yeah. So now that, your ability to even, and all this is really, pushing people to our direction. So now you're going to force, because I remember I did a podcast on Alex Jones a few months ago where he was calling crypto a scam, and then I was spot checking him when he got banned from Instagram. And I overheard him and his lawyer talking about, hey, I sort of dismissed cryptocurrencies initially. I'm still looking into this. There still are some pump and dumps, but, this could be a way to help break the censorship. And so I sort of missed the boat on that. And I'm like, well, Jesus, took you how long to figure this out? And that was a big reason why I switched from him to, there's other reasons. And obviously it became like a 24/7 Trump love fest over there, which, sort of, turned me off. So we got that going on. And maybe now we can, shift over to what's going on, in the price world, because, it has been a while since I came out with one of these crypto specific shows. We got Bitcoin last 7 days up 17.5%. Right now we're on coingecko.com. And the reason I like using this is it gives you like the 24-hour view, 1-hour view, 7-day view. Because and I'm just trying to, show you guys other resources that are out there, because everybody probably knows about coinmarketcap.com. I like it too. That's usually what I use to, but I just wanted to switch it up a little bit over here. Ethereum on a tear last 7 days up 39%, Bitcoin Cash up 27%. Oops, I skipped over Ripple. That must have been a mistake. EOS up 22%. So, all this stuff is just on a complete tear. And of course, as you mentioned before, it's always, when, it's always when things are going up that people want to all of a sudden get in. And, being in the investment space, I was telling people trying to get crypto IRAs going at like 3,500. And, and luckily, a few people did listen, and some of them even converted their IRAs to Roth IRAs. So now they got a legal tax-free gain. So kudos to all of them. But, how getting back to this crypto fear index, they use volatility as a measure, market momentum and volume, social media sentiment, different surveys they have going on, the Bitcoin dominance, and then trends. So we'll have that linked in the show notes as well. Then another site that I sometimes go to is Coin360, where basically it's showing the market cap percentage of the move. So you see that obviously BTC Bitcoin is a lot bigger square than everything else. It means that as a percentage, that's how it's moving the market. So yeah, it's down, it's consolidating a little bit, down 8.36% right now, but I'm not, crying about it going down, because, it's crazy. Anytime someone goes up 100%, it's natural for it to go down. But you do see, the different horrors over at CNBC where they're, jumping on this, immediately. And, I can play a clip from them right now.
Over a year and a half, right?
Let me go back to this fake news network. It looks like, yeah, even my browser must be like, we detect too much fake news going on over there. So we're not going to lie.
Is that like a browser extension that detects that?
They do have browser detections that would say things like zero hedge, and probably anything else that we listen to is probably it's probably fake news.
Well, even Facebook, remember? They kicked off zero hedge. Like that was such a big eye opener, just like ridiculous. Or when you couldn't even share alternative platforms like Minds.com and your own private messages.
Still, So the other day, I have a screenshot from actually, I have on Tuesday, we have Bill Ottman, the CEO of Minds.com, coming on the show. So if you're around for that, you could, ride shotgun for that. So we've got Bill coming on Tuesday. And so I was writing out Minds.com, and then the next post I made, it made me wait like 7 minutes before I could post again. And then when I was typing, I had to put in a CAPTCHA just to put it in a message. And actually you were linked in the message. And then I started, as I was typing, I started typing gobbledygook, that like kind of like if you had like beer goggles or something, like you couldn't like see it, like it was all like distorted. They deliberately basically fucked it up so I couldn't read so no one could read what I was writing. And then they wouldn't let me hit reply. And so that was like I knew that they did like the warning messages. We had to click a button and say, is this really safe? Or we know that this is not a safe link or not a secure link. But this was like a whole nother level of shenanigans that was going on the behalf of Facebook. But yeah, here we go. CNBC, I think now will comply unless we're
big news, David. Bitcoin suffering its biggest intraday decline in over a year and a half, bringing the month's mega rally to a halt. Some traders say this is purely profit-taking after Bitcoin's 38% jump in the month of May. Others are pointing to a large sell order on Bitstamp, a European cryptocurrency exchange that resulted in, reportedly, $200 million in long position liquidations. Now, Bitstamp says it has opened an investigation into what's behind the large-scale movement in its order book. Analysts say, though, that today's price action serves as a reminder that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are still prone to extreme volatility and price fluctuations, and that the trading exchanges still need to be more prudent in implementing.
Yeah, thank you for going over the obvious over there. Like we think it might have to do with a large sell order. Well, that's how the free market works. A large buy order was basically what one of the reasons that kind of like helped prompt this entire move. So was it about like a month ago or so? There was I believe there was like
$100 million, buy order. Yeah, I think I actually just met someone who knows, I think that guy who did that buy order. But yeah, I mean, they're just always gonna say the same thing. That's like one of my kind of things that I get annoyed at when the market just gets a little volatile. Like, oh, why is it moving up? Oh, why is it moving down? So I'm always like, oh, there was more buyers than sellers today. There's more sellers than buyers today. So, and that, that's one of the things too with crypto is that, you have to really realize especially when you start tiptoeing in, that it's really the best or the number one use case for crypto right now until it becomes, higher market cap is speculation. So, you just have, like we went over before, you just have to be really careful and not put all your eggs in one basket and make sure that you're willing to lose, up to 99%. Of what you put in, and you're able to hopefully ride that to the next bull run.
Yeah, I did pull up that article where it says yesterday's, this is coming from like about a month ago, but yesterday's surge was a result of a single buy order that has been algorithmically managed across 3 venues of around 20,000 BTC, as noted by some guy with a really long name. And he goes on to say, if you look at the volumes on each of these 3 exchanges, there were in concert synchronized units of around 7,000 BTC in an hour. If anything, it's a telltale sign that there's improving market confidence and something huge is in the cards in the next few days. And I think it's sort of almost comes like the self-fulfilling prophecy of like certain things start going up and everybody's, all of a sudden they're scared about missing out. And then it just creates its own, self-fulfilling prophecy. And, it goes back in the other direction as well. But we do see the fear and greed index now is, leaning more towards the scale of greed. And, I have had people now reaching out to me, from the woodwork of, hey, I know that you tried contacting me when Bitcoin was at, $3,000-ish to do a crypto IRA, but now that it's at 8,000, now is a great time to get in. I'm like, geez. And actually, it does take a while to get these set up. So I'll give you, a quick shameless plug over here. So it's not like you want to get in today. It's going to be like ready to roll tomorrow. So realistically speaking, it could easily take a month or two, mainly because there's different bottlenecks that usually aren't necessarily on my end. Usually it's on, because there's a lot of different steps. If you want to do it right, where you hold on to the private keys, there's a whole bunch of different steps you have to go through. And it's not like just like a button you press. And so, if you want to go and you want to do it through, the unit investment trust that's out there, super easy to do. And I can even do that for you, and boom, click a button. I saw a guy, like there's one guy who we did that while we were waiting to get this set up, and he was up like over 150% as of like 2 days ago. past performance not an indication of future return. But when I first got him in, he was probably at one point he was down 20-30%. And so he was not very happy. And then, but you got to be there for the bad times to get good, dollar cost average, all the things that, good financial advisor. So I'm like one of the only people because everyone's like, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm like the only asshole here who's like, well, actually I am a financial advisor. So I always hedge what I'm going to say. And you used to be a financial advisor. So, that's why it's a very unique experience of we're calling this a crypto wealth show, because you've got two people who actually were in wealth management and involved in the crypto space, before the run up. I mean, anyone can, jump on a bandwagon, as things have, are at 18,000, like your Ty Lopez or something, and try to, talk about how great things are doing. But, there is, some, crazy news going on. You've got, I'm pulling up an article here where there's even NFL players now who are demanding to get paid in crypto. So let me go on to say, so we've got NFL quarterback at Matt Barclay. What wasn't he? I think he was USC. So, so we got people at USC. So I guess, when USC people aren't, paying their way to get into school, I guess there is some, smart things that they are doing. But even that, I mean, I wouldn't, if I was an NFL player, I wouldn't want to have all my salary tied to Bitcoin necessarily, unless you're able to dollar cost average it. But who knows? Most of these guys end up broke by the time they're 27 years old anyway. So, if they gambled on crypto and it goes up, maybe they get to buy some more shit before they end up going broke. Or if they go, because I mean, I think like almost, it's like a huge percentage, like 75% are probably bankrupt by like 32 years old.
Yeah. Well, so, it seems like, maybe now is the right time. I know last year I felt it, the market started, going down. And then there was a point in, I think it was like maybe October or November. And it was just like the feeling of like crypto winter. And that, everyone was just so depressed. We even threw like a meetup to have like a party. It was like a bear market party. Because you could just feel it in the air. Everyone you were talking to was like, even people that were like, really pro crypto or just like not talking about it as much. Even myself, we were just kind of looking at our portfolio and like just, oh, damn it. But then, there was a point at, I did call, I didn't call 20,000 because you never really know how high, crypto can shoot up. I mean, I remember when we hit like $4,000 and it started acting very volatile up and down. And I thought maybe that was going to be the end. That was already like a 20x move from the previous lows. Then we hit 20K. And then, then I figured once I kind of knew that, okay, after we had some price swings to going lower, that we were probably going to hit like a 4K level. So I was somewhat correct on that. And then there was a time when crypto hit about 4,200, and I could just tell that, reading the news, talking to people, just being involved with the scene, that, hey, I think we're finally there after going through the longest crypto bear markets in history so far, that, we finally entered what we call it as a crypto spring. And so, I really think that, any people that are listening or watching, now, if you haven't, at least put your foot into crypto, now's the time to really do your due diligence and just kind of look into it and see if, you would have any interest, because it seems like we're on the verge of, potentially something.
And talk with your financial advisor. Odds are he's not going to know anything about it, so then he can talk with me. So it's only to give it a shameless plug, because I'm like probably like one of the only people in this space who's a financial advisor. So if you could find somebody else, then go. I'd like to be introduced to them, because I don't really know that they exist. Because all the big broker dealers, you're literally not allowed to recommend crypto. I could go back and show you guys a letter where I was forced. It was like, hey, if you want to go speak at Anarchiboko, you can't do it at being associated with us. And so I took, basically a 6-figure residual income hit in order to do this. And so, go find someone else who did that. There's probably but I realized, and I was trying to tell people in January how they could diversify out. Cause I'm like, hey, if you could, let's say safely make, $100,000, $200,000 a year and still have, 50% of your crypto, why don't you sell some of it, get in a tax efficient manner. And then, because there are ridiculous loopholes that are out there. So people don't realize Charlie Lee didn't actually really sell his Litecoin. He sold it to a charitable trust, and then the charitable trust it could, it may or may not Litecoin. I don't know. I'm speculating on that. But so technically he just moved it from one vehicle to another, got a gigantic tax break. He's pulling income off of that. The income is being offset by the tax breaks. And so I got that news straight from Charlie Lee. And there was like 20, 30 people around me. So it wasn't like in confidence. He's not my client. I would never, out one of my clients, but he told me that at World CryptoCon. And so when I see him at the Crypto Invest Summit, he's up there on stage and saying, yeah, I got out because I just had too much of conflict of interest. I'm like, bull fucking shit, dude. I know exactly what you did.
Yeah.
That's
could still a lot of rich people use, right?
Yeah. And so don't hate the player, hate the game. I didn't make up the rules, but I'm bringing that to the crypto space. And so you can do it through, a big globalist financial institution that he used, or you can use it to help support myself and help support independent media that's helping get, real news out here into the mainstream narrative. But yeah, people, this is something that you should definitely look into if this is the first time. And I don't know how many people are just looking into this now or made it this far into this episode right now. But if you are, thank you for still listening. But yeah, there's just even when we ran into each other, what was it, like April 2nd or so, or whatever. When was the Crypto Invest Summit? Like first, second week of April. And the sentiment there was not, it was definitely, I'd say, overall kind of somber mood. And then I guess, then you're over at, Consensus, not you, but a lot of people we know are over at Consensus, and, I imagine they're probably over there like popping bottles and going nuts.
Yeah.
So it's crazy the difference of like 1 month. And so originally I was thinking like going to Consensus. I'm like, like for my business, like for me, I kind of wait till things go up more because I've put a lot of seeds out there, and then I'm sort of like, shit, I wish I was out there because now, now the price of everything went up so much. So, some other like positive developments we have going on. You've got, obviously a lot more people now know about crypto. I did see a study that will pull up right now that 9 in 10 Americans know about Bitcoin, and actually 1 in 5 millennials own Bitcoin, according to a survey. So maybe they're not as dumb as we make them out to believe. So I'm a millennial. I think technically Kingsley is too. So, saying that and all good fun. But yeah, a lot of them are, communists, but that's probably the result of their parents, the other generation who, led them to be raised that way.
Yeah.
And then
indoctrination camps don't help.
Yeah, government. Yeah, so, and people are saying it's government schooling, not public schooling. And then we've got an article of 5 theories for the Bitcoin price spike, and so the different people are thinking, okay, it's a safe haven.
Safe haven. Yeah, I wanted to go over this one.
Okay.
So yeah, safe haven. I didn't. We can just chat about it, but I'm just looking at it now. How do you feel about like with cryptocurrency and people saying it's just a store of value?
I think that's BS. That's just a store of value. That's not what it was initially sold for. I also do not think it will be a safe haven during an initial financial crisis, because I think as a risk asset, as people are getting their ass handed to them and other assets, they'll be forced to liquidate. And I think you'll see the price go down. I think it will really be the response to the next crisis of, QE, 75 of when, things start going crazy. So, and a lot of people probably disagree with me. You guys can hit us up in the comments if you disagree with me. No one has a crystal ball on how this is going to shake out, but I actually don't think it's going to be the initial, safe haven that people make this out to be. But eventually, in a long enough time horizon, sort of like the zero hedge, but in the opposite, their tagline is, I do think that this will pan out to be, work out pretty well, because we're going to print a lot of money. We see other articles from CNBC where
sorry, one second. I want to say, I agree with you, but I also think that there is a possibility of if there was like perfect timing of the economy going down, inflation taking over even more so, and if crypto is still in like a massive bull run, it could potentially, I think, bring more of an onslaught of people coming into the space and realizing like, oh, well, everything else is falling, so I need to move my assets to this because this keeps, going up. So, I like I said, I think I agree with you overall, but I think there is a potential for maybe it being the perfect opt out for people trying to save their assets. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And there's just so many unknowns of, you know, you got the Federal Reserve coming out to like a week or two ago saying, hey, the next time there's a crisis, we're going to target an interest rate, which means instead of saying, hey, we're going to print $80 billion a month, they're just saying, hey, we're going to print however much it takes to peg an interest rate to a certain level. So, I mean, they're basically saying we're going to steal money from any savers, anyone holding bonds, anyone holding cash, that basically you're going to get absolutely wrecked. And so, you know, that's why I'm running a strategy where I've got some people, they've got a little bit in Bitcoin, a little bit in crypto, in precious metals. We also have a stock strategy where if the market goes up in an absolute boom, they're going to benefit from that. If the market goes in an absolute bust, we've got ways for them to protect themselves from that too. That honestly I think is like one of the best ways to kind of hedge yourself, because there's so many unknowns of how this can shake out, and I'm never going to like underestimate the stupidity of what these central bankers, you know, might do. And there's just, you know, there's unknowns. So that's why, you know, people like who want to wait and time this out perfectly, well, this stuff moves pretty quickly. So, you know, if you want to do, you know, get a crypto IRA, you know, and you think like, oh, you know, I want to wait till it gets to 10,000 or not, I guess nobody would say that, but let's say you want to get the trust strategy and people are like, hey, let's wait till we get to 10,000. Well, let's say it takes a month to set up and it goes from 10,000 to 15,000 back down to 4. It could all happen so fast that you're going to be left flat footed. So we can kind of get like the shell of everything set up now. And then when that happens, I wouldn't recommend somebody puts all their money into this, obviously, but you could, let's say, start dollar cost averaging in reverse when it comes to the sell, but you're selling it into a trust, but you still control the private keys, you still control the asset. And then you can then your cost basis goes from, let's say, you know, $5 up to now 10,000. There's so many ridiculous benefits. And, you know, I'm trying to make a sales pitch. Even if you're not doing me, people need to know that this stuff exists, but it's really, going to be better more for like the more people like the really, really low cost basis. And then on the flip side, you know, the crypto IRAs, it takes a while to get them set up. Unless you want to go pay 15% up front and not hold on to your private keys, then yeah, you can, if you want to have somebody else hold on to your private keys, yeah, that can be done really easily. And also, as we've seen with Binance and other places, you can have your money taken really easily too. So
yeah, you have to be careful with that. Can we go back to the article of the what was it, the 5 reasons for the potential run right now?
Yeah, boom, got it.
Let's see here. So okay, so safe haven, which is doesn't really make much sense. I mean, not really right now, but
yeah. And then the context of what's going on, I do not think that's going on.
Main Street, definitely, you know, definitely it's getting even right now that we're not, you know, over 20K. We have you know, Fidelity, Ameritrade, E-Trade. I forgot about that one too. And then you do have Twitter, you do have Facebook talking about it as well. We'll see. I'm sure Google and, you know, Apple might be like last.
Isn't Whole Foods came out the other day and they're launching something as well?
Yeah, it's just an app where you can pay. I think they end up, you know, selling the Bitcoin on their end anyway. But it's still cool. It's becoming, you know, more usable. I personally like to hold, but I also actually like to use it as money. You know, if I get any more fiat, I usually just replace it with crypto to make up for what I spend in crypto. But when it, you know, especially when doing like cross-border transactions or anything that you think will be a pain in the ass to do through the traditional banking system, crypto is definitely the way to go. But yeah, this is pretty exciting because I'm at Whole Foods almost every day. So
yeah, look at you, bougie mofo over there. The retail initiative comes via a partnership between Flexa, a payment startup, and Gemini, the Winklevoss-owned digital currency company. It works by piggybacking on the digital scanners that many big retailers use to accept phone-based payments from their apps and from digital wallets like Apple Pay. So yeah, obviously that's going to be, you know, good news. And if you guys see how I ended up searching that, so let's give you guys a good example. Let's say you want to do free Ross, which I, you know, encourage you guys to go sign the petition for free Ross. I'm using pre-search. It's paying me in crypto to search, and then it's anonymizing the data, then going through DuckDuckGo, and you can actually choose if you want DuckDuckGo, or you can still actually go through Google, or actually you can search YouTube through it as well. And so, you know, if you guys
want the Brave browser, right?
Yeah, and using the Brave browser. So like all around, you know, trying to do as much as I can to, you know, rebuff the system. But, you know, please head over to, you know, freeross.org, and then which takes you to change.org. You can sign the petition for Ross, getting really close to 166,000 right now. And then while you're over there, you can also search for Kingsley's dad as well. And what's your
Michael Edwards. he should pop up
There
there.
you
Yeah.
go. Boom. So look at that. I mean, literally within
Yeah.
probably 45 seconds, you could sign both of those. I've already signed both of those. Actually, I think I signed the Ross one probably twice. Yeah. And so, right now I just the other day, or just, moments before I came on, I got, a brand new, hard drive system that we're hoping to hook up with. Actually, Aaron Nakamoto's thing popped up. It says, Aaron's counting on you. So unfortunately, I moved out of there. But I'm getting, I'm trying to move away from storing anything on Google, because it's only a matter of time that they're like, oh hey, you got all your shit stored on Google, and now we don't like you. So without warning, we just took down 200 gigabytes worth of data. And that's probably coming, at some point.
Yeah. I mean, they're already using AI to read our emails and all our messages that are encrypted. So it's really an important time right now. It's a scary time with just like this bifurcation or whatever you want to call it when it comes to like finance. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned before, like PayPal's shut down people's accounts. Yeah, I mean, even Coinbase, centralized authorities are just kind of losing or going to lose the war. But what was I going to say? I think I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you're probably saying that they're also pushing people towards us as well, because guys like Alex Jones, who could give two shits about it, 3 months ago, and now he's like, oh well, hey, they're going after my payment processors, they're going after my email hosts, they're going after this and that, and so Ernst Hancock always talks about having even they're going after WhatsApp too. That WhatsApp is now exploring whether or not they're going to shut people down. So that's like saying, who knows? We're doing this through Zoom. Maybe they might say, hey, we're going to make sure you can't do it through Zoom anymore, and then there'll be other better alternatives.
Did you hear about this? So Microsoft, I guess they've already been doing this with like Skype and Xbox Live, but now it's even going to Microsoft Office, where if you let's just say you put you type in a doc, policeman. It'll actually auto correct that. I haven't tested this yet, but I've read some articles on it, so I'm not sure if it's with everybody yet. But it'll change it to police person or something like that. This whole social justice warrior thing, and it's just it's really scary with the censorship thing. Whatever you think about Alex Jones, I've been listening to him a while. I lost interest in him, during the 2016 elections.
I thought you were going to say whatever you think about the police. No, but we'll get you down that road. Microsoft is being politically correct.
That's it. Yeah.
And Microsoft, let's remind people that they're their Azure, Azure Gab ban. So I'm pretty sure that they were using their servers to then, so Gab. So Gab nearly banned Gab over. Yeah, and this was over one guy making a post about Jews that wasn't really even a post about Jews, really. And if we can go back, I'm seeing if I can find the post, but it wasn't even you would never be able to ascertain that he was going to go into a synagogue to go shoot people up. And I'm not condoning that, obviously, but what I forgot the post, but the post was something like, I'm going in right now. That's what it was, something like, I'm going in. I'm going in where? Going into Chick-fil-A. I say that just to piss off any liberals, in case they're watching. But yeah, no, going in. It could be going in where? It could be part of a song. I'm going in. There's a rap song. It could be anything. And so they're Andrew Torbo should have known that he was going in to, not to make light of this, but going into a synagogue to go shoot up a bunch of Jews. That obviously that's what that post meant. And when and then he acquiesced. He took it down, said we don't condone this, and they still basically mother effed him and took him off the servers. But now there's going to be all sorts of blockchain based stuff going on. We'll have Colin on from Presearch. We'll have him come on soon to talk about what they're doing over there with Presearch. And you guys can actually, we'll have a link down below where you can get a little referral credit also to help out, because in the future there's going to be sort of advertising platforms. And so also I'm using the Brave browser too, where there's just there's systems that are out there and they're pushing people towards us. But there's also this bifurcation that you're mentioning where crypto could be, this whole track, trace, surveil method of, hey, they want drug dealers and bad people using it because they can track them. But then they also, they don't want people using the, more private coins, the Moneros out there, that they'll probably ban those and say, oh, hey, you can keep your Goldman Sachs.gov coin or your Facebook coin. And so it could be this whole big mark of the beast type system, or it could be, and I'm sure all the AI sensors love everything we've talked about right now.
Well, that's what Zero Hedge was really bearish about crypto, thinking that the mark of the beast and all this kind of stuff. Which
me too. That was me too.
Yeah.
I was in the exact same boat.
Yeah, but technology could be used for good or evil. But yes, we do have things like Monero, or even this new protocol, Mimblewimble, that can atomic swap from crypto. So these things, we're still, even though we're 10 years in to crypto, we're still very, very early. And the technology, it takes time to really build out, and it's not easy technology to create. And but we're getting there slowly but surely. And every time we have a price in the upswing, there's more money that moves into the industry. There's more startups that work on more innovative ideas to help offer other opt-outs when it comes to social media, or there's a big thing with now, like what do they call it, like decentralized finance, what do they call it? There's some word for it now, but there's things happening, like there's loans,
like salt lending. We just came out with an episode where we interviewed Jenny Shaver at the Crypto Invest Summit, where they're actually, you can have loans collateralized by Dash Masternodes now. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm not making endorsements of anything, so I'm just saying, like, you can do it. Yeah, it's risky to do that, but I'd say when the price is going down a lot and you don't want to sell, maybe that's when you'd want to do it. But when it's high up, obviously it's a very risky proposition. But it's all stuff that's out there in the traditional market that now they're bringing. And I was at the Security Token Summit. You've got it's all the banks and hedge funds and VCs and all in suits and $1,700 like a plate type deal. Obviously I didn't pay that, I got it for free for media, but they've got like the glass, whatever it was, Fiji or Voss water bottle, like crazy stuff that you wouldn't really expect at a crypto conference. But these guys are talking about how hey, what if through blockchain technology, if we have a instrument that pays you through interest, if we can pay you monthly versus quarterly, or quarterly versus yearly, there's big premiums on the quicker you can pay somebody. So maybe there's a 3% premium on if somebody wants a check monthly versus wanting a check quarterly. So, but with blockchain, what if you got paid every week? What if you got paid every day? What if you got paid every second? What if like that and so you could do that. And so we'll have to have another show talking about Mimblewimble, because that's something that I don't know a ton about. I just know that the Cliff Notes is the way to make things more private through Bitcoin. And it is, it's an exciting time. At the same time, you gotta be vigilant, because I think that, our role kind of in this is to steer people towards the right way of doing things. Because I know I'm not sure if that was the right way or not on the screen, what way I'm looking. But no, it's, we've probably been going on for a while, so probably try to wrap it up. But, today is May 17th, and we see, as Bitcoin sitting at $7,200, Ethereum at 237, Bitcoin Cash at 361. And unfortunately, Bitcoin SV still hasn't died yet. It's still there, hanging in there at $60. But no, it is an exciting time, and we will be having these shows regularly. I mentioned we've got the one with minds.com coming up, and let us know in the show notes what you'd like us to cover, what topics you'd like us to see. It's our first time doing this, so let us know. But no, definitely it was great having you on, Kingsley. And anything else you want to cover? We know we went over sort of the watershed of tons of stuff, but is there anything that we missed? Or
no, I think we pretty much covered it all. And yeah, thanks for having me on. I look forward to doing more. And I think this, the space is only going to get more exciting. So there's just going to be more and more headlines. There's going to be probably some big losses when it comes to exchanges getting hacked. Any type of centralized authority has that risk. It's basically a big honeypot for
don't keep your keys on the exchange.
Yeah.
Said it. Don't say you weren't warned.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Decentralized exchanges, I think, are going to be the future too. So they'll have even more of a space for this next bull run. So that's really exciting.
So it's like, okay, you make Shapeshift go KYC, and now there's going to be something that's going to be 1,000 times harder for the they, them, those crowd to attract. So yeah, it's like the tighter you squeeze your hand, the more star systems split out into the solar systems. But anyways, this is Tim Picciott and Kingsley Edwards with the Crypto Wealth Show, where it's real talk for digital assets. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, we'll see you guys later. Cool.
Ross Ulbricht is serving a double life sentence without parole for all nonviolent charges for creating a website. Please help free this peaceful man. Go to freeross.org and sign and share the petition.
Okay, well, that's great. You've got people who have IRAs and 401ks, and there's different things you can do or that I can do to help them out. But what about the person that has maybe a few $1,000,000 of gains and they bought it on Coinbase or Kraken, or they got several millions of dollars of gains, and all of a sudden now you want to go buy your Lambo or buy a new house? I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to skirt around the IRS, because they're going to wonder, hey, how'd you get that $500,000 to buy a new house? Well, for those people, probably the best person to explain this is actually my friend Ernest Hancock, as he was giving me an introduction at Anarchapulco. Anyways, I'll let Ernie take it away, because we can also have advanced trust strategies for the people that have millions of dollars of gains. This is not just for people who are looking to invest parts of their IRAs or 401ks.
A good friend of mine, Tim Picciott, he's a financial advisor at Scottsdale. He'll be speaking at the TDV event. To be able to bring the crypto into the system, how would you be able to do a foundation of trust, of this, of that, and so on? And Tim was at the party, and I go, Tim, what up? He's been spending months that he's getting ready to present to you guys Monday on how you can take your crypto and not pay capital gains on it, not have taxes on you. I'm going, man, you need to talk to Tim, okay?